Hi. Okay, this is going to be from the advanced class in the Black Homeschool Chess/Coding lessons on Zoom. We we had a problem getting the lessons to you guys because Zoom didn't change. Zoom didn't save all the lessons. I don't know why, but half the lessons was missing. Half the files was missing. So I'm going to record what we went over and also what we missed. Okay, so I have my son Io here with me. Say hi, Io.
Hello.
Cool, cool, cool. Okay, so the first game we're gonna look at, we are gonna look at two different tactical motif here. We are gonna look at attacking F7, which is the weakest square. Why are you doing that?
I didn't do anything.
A attacking F7, which is the weakest square, and we are gonna look at a pin on G5. And of course, this is a G5 square. Okay? This is the G5 square. Let me see if I get these arrows together. See if I can do this. Okay, this is G5 square. So let's start. Okay. First we're gonna look at the two moves checkmate because I think you should know the two moves checkmate and the four move checkmate. You just have to know those two things. Okay, F4. Okay, not a very good move, right? But he played it. F E6, G4, and now we have the boomerang move, of course. Bang and bang. And the queen travels to there, and that is what? What is that, y'all guys?
Checkmate.
Very good, a checkmate. Okay, let's go to the next position. So that is a two move checkmate. The next position, I believe, is a four move checkmate. Let's see. That was a two move. What was this one? Oh, it's over. So let's look at the four move checkmate. E4. Okay, would be nice if you would move. Okay, E4, and of course E4 is controlling the center, which we will have a lesson on, but that is not what this lesson is about. E5, Bishop C4, Knight C6, Queen F3, and remember this is white have a majority. We're attacking the square one time, we're attacking the square two times. So that is our, I'll make this red. That is our majority, and he's defending it one time. Okay? So let's say that this guy don't know much, he's just a beginner. And we play queen takes F7, checkmate. Okay? So let's go to the next diagram. That was four. Okay, and this is a relative pin. And I'll show you what that means. E4, E5, Knight F3, Knight C6, Bishop C4, Bishop C5. Okay, now they are both developing their pieces. You have to get your pieces out. So this is all good. Castle, Knight F3, D3, right? Because we want to get our bishop out. So we have to move our pawn in front of our bishop, correct? Okay, now why did he play this move? A6 is really to give the bishop a retreat square. That's why he played a move like A6. It's to give the bishop a retreat square. Okay. A4, D3. Now, of course, he's developing, right? Now, this bishop can get the game, right? Okay. And C3. Okay. What is the idea behind C3? During the opening phase, we want two pawns in the center if possible. So that is the idea behind C3. White would like to play this pawn here at some point in the game. So then he'll have he'll have a pawn here and a pawn here. And he'll be controlling center squares. This pawn will be controlling this square, right? And this pawn here will be controlling these squares. Okay, so that's the reason why he plays c3. Okay, it is a very popular move. Okay, so he played c3. Now the bishop go in the cut. That's why you'll hear stronger players say bishops in the cut. That is what this is. This is putting the bishop far away from being attacked. And he is putting a lot of pressure on this long diagonal. Okay? Well, this is the longest diagonal in chess. Right? Okay, and this diagonal right here is called the Fianchetto Diagonal. But we aren't getting to that now, okay? So he places the bishop in the in the cut. Okay, now the rook come over because white goal is to play this move. But when you play this move, right? This pawn, I'll make it red here. This pawn will be hanging because the knight can capture the pawn. That's why the rook played over here, so he can defend the pawn when he played pawn to d4. Okay, so that's the theory and that's the idea of rook to e1. Castle, bishop to g5. Okay, now bishop to g5. It is a good move, but black finds a very nice way to deal with this pin. Now, this is a relative pin. Relative means that this knight can move, but if the knight moves, you'll lose your queen. Okay, but this is called a relative pin. Okay, that's called a relative pin. So he attacked it. Now, when you're dealing with pins, this is a rule. Break the pin as soon as possible. You break a pin as soon as possible because a pin can become dangerous. Okay, so you have to break it. So that's why he played h6, because he's attacking the bishop, so he's starting to break the pin. And g5. Now the pin is broken. But we aren't there yet about talking about black weakening his king side. But just let me tell you this. The further these pawns go up that is in front of the king, the weaker the king position becomes. Okay, so you have to know what you're doing when you break a pin like this because it can be dangerous. Okay, bishop back. Now this is a nice slick move. Knight to h7. The idea is to guard this square again and to bring the queen to f6. Okay? Queen here, queen to c1. Now on queen to c1, he wanna see, and then he might want to play a move like this. Okay, putting pressure on the dark squares around the white, around the black king. Okay, king to g7, a very good move because this move guards this pawn. This king move helps guards this pawn. Okay, so this is a good move. The king move is a good move. Also, what's probably more important as I look at this position is that you get off of this pin diagonal. Because when the king was back here, let's go back. Now this pawn is pinned, right? The bishop, the pawn can't move. So when he played king to g7, he isn't on that pin diagonal and he's protecting his pawn. And also there's a lot of little different things. Plus a rook can come over to the king's side and help defend. Okay, now he's attacking g5, gaining space, push. and knight here. Now notice he didn't play a move like this. Notice he didn't play this move because it will weaken this square, okay? So he kept the pawn back and he brought his knight into the game. Okay, knight to f6, and he held this pawn with his knight. Okay, now this knight is being rerouted. Knight. Okay, now the knight is being rerouted. This is a little further than you guys are, but just follow the end of the game. Let's just get to what the knight takes, pawn takes. Okay, now here are the pawns acting as a unit. Now this position getting dangerous for white. Why? Remember the bishop in the cut? This bishop is exerting a lot of pressure on this G1 A7 diagonal. That's how we'll call this diagonal. G1 to A7 diagonal. The bishop is exerting a lot of pressure, and the knight is pinned. We are threatening basically to win the knight the next move by pawn push. Okay, because let me just give you a quick example. If he play here, whose turn is it? Oh, it is his turn. Let's say he play here, and then we can play here, and now the knight is lost because the knight can't move because the king will be in check. Okay, we all see that? We all see that. Okay, so pawn takes, pawn push, king to f1. Okay, now the reason why he played that move, because he don't want his king over here. Because you see this queen on this diagonal, this knight can come here, and now he's threatening. Let me just show you what can happen to white if he's not careful. Checkmate. No, that's not checkmate. I'm sorry. But here, and then this pawn comes, and the game is basically over. Okay, so because the knight is lost, I'm going off on the tangent. Let me just try to keep it simple. So knight takes, pawn push. Okay, we are advancing our pawns. We're attacking. King to f1. Pawn takes. Now this is a discovered check, right? Remember what discovered check is? The rook is on the same file as the king. Discovered check. That's a discovered check. King up. Now the pawns are advancing. We are threatening to win the bishop. Pawns advance. Pawn takes. Bishop takes. Pawn takes. We threaten to win the rook. Rook up. Knight is coming into the attack. We are attacking with basically 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces. Okay. Queen over. Bishop back. This is a nice slick move. Because the queen is threatening to come down here with checkmate. Okay, the queen is threatening to play here. And there's checkmate. That's why he moved the bishop back. And basically, when he played bishop to c5, he resigned. Okay, and this is a resignable position against strong players. You're threatening. I'm threatening to move like what? Knight takes check. And rook takes checkmate. Okay? Okay, great. Let's move on to the next game. Okay, let's continue with our lesson with the pen. E4, E5, E5, Knight F3, attacking, of course, attacking this square. We know that, right? We threatening to win a pawn. Knight takes, bishop to C4, I'm sorry. Bishop C5, castle, knight F6. This is our standard opening principles. And bishop to G5. Now we have what type of pen is this called again? Ayo, what type of pen is that called? Ayo, come on, stop. You should know. That's called a relative pin. Okay, because the knight can move, but if the knight moves, you lose your queen. It's a relative pin. Okay.
But
That's
what would you call a non-relative pin?
So when someone pin your piece, you have to attack the piece that's pinning you. You want to break the pin as early as possible. Okay, now the pin is broken, and now white is saying that, okay, well, I'm going to sacrifice my knight just to keep the pin. Okay, knight takes pawn, pawn takes, bishop takes. King up, king to h1, and rook over. Now, notice, this is the way you deal with this position for black. You see black play king to g7, because king to g7 allowed the rook to swing over to the h file, okay, and it helped defend the king. Okay, so that's why this is a good move. Okay, king to h1. Why did he play king to h1? He played king to h1 because this pawn was pinned. So what white want to do is open up. White want to play this, just to open up the rook. So the rook, white want to open up the rook so the rook can attack the knight. So the bishop and the rook will be attacking it. Okay. So rook to h8, f4, but he got hit with this little shot. Check. What you gonna do? You gotta take. You force to take, right? You can't play king here. That's not legal. You gotta take. Then queen check. Pawn push check. Pawn x pawn check. Knight check. Knight takes bishop. I just want a piece. He take back, but check. Check. And the hammer. Checkmate. That's checkmate. The king cannot go here. Of course, the bishop. The king cannot go here. Of course, the queen. The king cannot go here. Of course, the queen once again. And the king cannot go there because the queen. And the king can't go there because once again we have the lady guarding a multitude of squares. That's the power of the queen.
Is that a word?
Okay, let's go to our next diagram. Oh, I'm sorry. I'll adjust this again. Okay, this one is a nice checkmate. This shows that a relative pin, a knight can move with a relative pin. So let's look at this quickly. E4, E5. I'll pay attention. I want you to make sure you know this. Knight to F3, D6, Bishop C4. What's the idea behind Bishop C4?
Because the king's gonna be there.
You attack the weakest square. That's the whole idea behind it. He can castle queenside. No, it's not because the king's going to be there. Because you don't know what side he's castling, do you? No. So the idea is to attack the weakest square. That's what really the idea is. Bishop to c4. Well, you put the bishop on the active square, okay? You know, you put the bishop on the square that is attacking key points in his position in the opening phase of the game. That's important. What did I do? I did something. Okay. Bishop c4. Now, okay, what type of pin is this again?
A relative pin.
That's a relative pin. Why? Because this knight can move. An absolute pin is when the knight can't move. Or a piece can't move. Okay. Knight. And that's a blunder. Because he hit you with this shot. Knight takes pawn. You take my queen, and there's a checkmate in 2. Check.
Mate.
1 square. And motto. See you later, Gator. Okay, the king cannot play here because the knight will slam him. Can't play here, of course, the bishop. Can't play here, of course, the bishop. Can't play here because the knight. And that is checkmate. Okay, we only got a couple more games, 3 more games to look at. And I gotta adjust this once again. And let's see this game. Okay, I'll adjust it again. So, e4, e5, knight, d4. Fighting for the center. f6, bishop c4. You see where he put his bishops at? Bishop check. Now, bishop check is a bad move, but you'll find a lot of beginners play moves like this. It's just a bad move because it's too easy to block. And you have helped white with his pawn chain. It's called a pawn chain. Pawn chains are strong in chess. Bishop back. Pawn takes pawn. And this is a trap. Knight takes pawn. Knight takes queen check. And he played the worst move on the board. Checkmate.
No.
Okay, let's look at. Alright, we got 2 more to look at. One more after this one, Niall. Right? Okay. Let me drag these in. Okay, this move. E4, E5, knight F3, knight C6, bishop C4, F6. I don't like F6. D4, attacking the center. Castle, pawn push, knight. Okay, he want to get the bishop off that diagonal. He said, okay, I'll shoot back. Pawn push. Pawn push attacking to win the piece, right? Pawn takes knight. Pawn takes pawn. Pawn push. Pawn takes pawn. Knight. And this way he sacrifices queen. No, he don't sacrifice the queen. He sacrifices a piece here, correct? Because bishop takes bishop. Check. Right? And he fell for the okie doke checkmate.
The okie doke.
The okie doke checkmate.
Is that actually a checkmate?
No, this is a checkmate. You see, he's in check, isn't he?
I mean, is that the actual name?
You can't play here.
Yeah.
Because check. You can't play here because check. And you can't play here, of course, check, right? Something like that. So that's checkmate. Last and final game, y'all guys. I went over. I want to make this a little shorter. But be that as is may, it is chess. And chess has been compared to math, which it tells you how involved it can get. So anyway, E4. Now this is an interesting game, and I'm not going to talk about the opening too much. Oh yeah, I better. I'm sorry. This is called the fried liver attack. Okay, the fried liver attack. So white is attacking F7, right? White is attacking F7 2 times. Black is defending F7 1 time. So it is said that white is to have a majority. Okay, white have a majority in this structure, and now black played. Now this is really a good move, and we are going to study this opening for black because it happens a lot, and you have to know how to deal with this opening when white played these type of moves against you. You are just doing the normal move developing your knight, black knight, and then he hit you with this move, knight to G5. Okay, putting a lot of pressure on F7. Now, if you notice, This square is very hard. This square is kind of hard this square is hard to defend. Because if you play here, that doesn't defend f7. I could take it. You're not going to give up your queen for 2 pieces, right? You're not going to give up your queen for this knight and this bishop. That's why you're not going to play queen takes bishop. So now you have to move your king. And I'm going to come all the way back after I did my damage. Okay? So let's go back to the opening. So this is how you defend. This is one way. There are other ways. The other way is bishop to c5, which this is what my daughter plays. Bishop to c5. Grace play bishop to c5. Very sharp. But anyway, this is what we're going to study, d5. Now, d5, now the bishop can't eye f7 anymore because it is blocked by this pawn. Right? F7 is blocking the, d5 is blocking the bishop. So d5 is a very good move. Pawn takes, and black, and now we play knight here. What are we doing? We're attacking the bishop. Okay, I will pay attention, come on. We are attacking the bishop. Okay? Bishop check. That's logical. Pawn push, pawn takes, pawn takes. Now, of course, bishop takes is bad because the knight can take the bishop. So the bishop can't take. So now he plays queen here. And he's figuring if you take my bishop, right, if you eat, I'm going to eat here. But this is a very interesting position. Black say, you got it. I'll sacrifice. No, okay, that's called sacrificing the exchange. And we'll get into that later. Okay, so queen takes, and this is a kind of slick move. Now, this stops the queen from coming back out. And the queen can't get stuck down there. The queen doesn't have many squares. Correct, right? Pawn push, trying to develop another piece. That's why he pushed that pawn. He want to develop his bishop somewhere. And he want to put pressure in the center. Pawn push. Okay, attack the knight. Then pawn push. Now, as you see this position, this queen is white's problem. He got to make sure that queen doesn't get trapped down there. Let's see what happens. Knight. Okay, attacking the queen. Attacking the queen again. Now, the queen doesn't have a move. If you look, can't play here because the bishop. Can't play here because the knight. Can't play here because the pawn. And finally can't play here because the bishop. And he can't play anything along these because we have all our pieces guarding all the squares on the 7th rank. But he had this retrieve. Now this is a good move because the queen have to stay. This queen, right, have to stay guarding this knight. Because if you move the queen off this knight, first of all, we're threatening knight takes queen. But he's threatening knight takes queen. Okay? And if we move our queen anywhere, like here, he could play queen takes knight. Okay. So, that's a good move. He played knight takes queen. King takes. Now, watch how, this is what I wanted to notice. When we say a pawn is a unit, this is a prime example of how the pawns will become very powerful. Okay, now the pawns are very powerful now. These pawns are very, this is called a pass pawn. This is called a pass pawn because there's nothing in front of it. So this is a pass pawn. And this is a chain. Okay? And so this is the very strong structure for black. Let's see what happened. Bishop takes a nice little trick. Of course, if you play a move like this, he had bishop takes and forky Rui, baby. That's a fork. Forky Rui. that's a fork. Okay. We attacking this piece and this piece. So that's a threat with bishop to h3. So he stopped it, rook there, but the pawns are just too strong. Two pairs connected pawns. It's just too much.
We have two rooks.
Too much. You got to, but you can't stop two pawns rolling down the board.
He has a rook too, so yeah, you can't stop.
It doesn't matter. First of all, I don't even think he needs this rook. I mean, it's good we have it, but we could win the game without this rook.
No,
we could win the game. Yeah, we could win the game. Because you're going to have to sack one of your rooks anyway to stop my menacing pawns. Anyway, let's see what happened in the game. Well, in the game, he resigned. He just resigned. He said, man, I'm tired. Okay, we are going to look at our last and final game. And this is going to be where black plays a very weak opening move, and we are going to see how white exploit it. So let's start. E4, E5, knight F3, of course attacking this square, E5, right? So he played F6. Okay, F6 is a very bad move. Knight takes E5. Sacrificing the knight. Well, it looks like a sacrifice. It really isn't. I guess you can consider it a true sacrifice. But it's good for white. Pawn takes knight. Queen shoot over here. Check. King is in check. Right? Okay, if the king step up, queen takes pawn. Check. King only had one move. And of course we develop our bishop with tempo. Bishop check. If the king, now he can block, but that still loses. The king here, he figured he's gonna try to keep his material. Queen check. And then he run into this discovered check. You see the bishop is on the same diagonal as the king, but the pawn is in its way. Pawn push, that's called a discovered check. And now notice the rook and the king is on the same file. So when you see things like that, you want to open up the file. Okay, and now this pawn is pinned, right? Because the bishop is pinning the pawn. Okay, so let's say he tried to hold the square, but he fall into a double check. Check with the bishop, and check with the rook. King here, and queen checkmate, okay? Now let's go back to this position, queen to h5 check, okay? Well, we'll start the moves again. E4, E5, knight F3, F6, knight takes, pawn takes, queen check. Okay, he can block it. And instead of king here, he can play G6. But he fall into this fork. Queen check. Now we're attacking the rook. And we're attacking. So if queen here to block, we take. Now we are the exchange up. The exchange is we won a minor for a major. A knight is a minor piece. A rook is a major piece. So he have a minor, right? And we have a major because he took our knight on e5, remember? And we took his rook on h8. So we are up the exchange. We have won a major piece for a minor piece. Okay, let's say he take check. Now, this is now blocking is all right, okay? He's going to take that pawn. He's still going to be winning, but this is probably just a lot better move. King here. Now, once you move your king, you can't castle, okay? So white can't castle, but white king is under no pressure because black just had the queen out. And plus, when I play king here, now I am, can I do the arrows in this board? I don't know, I have to change them. I don't know if I can do the arrows. Yeah, I can do the arrows. Okay, great. Now with king to d1, we have freed e1 for our rook to come over here. And now we put in pressure there. Okay, so king there is a good move. And we are threatening to bring our queen out. Let's say he play a move like this. Now we can even do a move like, let's play this. We can play, because what we got to watch out for is, we got to watch out for bishop check. Let's see if it's his move. Can he play, oh, that's right, this pawn is blocking the bishop. So let's say he played this move, is more logical. Because now if we don't pay any attention to what he's doing, let's say we take this knight, he have a check, and it gets kind of dicey. Well, it's probably still winning here. Bishop takes, pawn takes, queen takes check, and this is something we don't want to go into. Even though we just winning, we still winning this position. King here, queen takes, and if you count the pieces, he have two minors, one minor, two minors. That wasn't meant to do. We had three minors, one, two, three minors. So we are a piece up, okay? We are a minor piece up. And let me just go back for here very quickly. So when he played d6, the best move is just to kick the queen. Just keep it simple. Kick the queen and the knight is hanging, right? We are attacking the queen. This knight is in pre or intake, in pre, intake. So he has to defend it. So queen back, and now we can develop our pieces naturally. We can play a move like, we just could bring our queen back in the game. Or we can take this pawn, but I would try to develop, probably this check is good. Because if he tried this move, right, stop the check, now the rook can come over, winning the queen. Okay, so we are going to stop it there, and I want everyone to join the Black Homeschool. It's called the Black Homeschool Chess. No, it's not done. There's not a done there. It's Black Homeschool Chess/Coding Group on Facebook. That is where I will be posting updates. That's where I will be posting this video and other videos of the lessons that we do. Also, join our YouTube channel, which is the Black Chess Authority. And this will be posted on the Black Chess Authority. Y'all guys, I'll see you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.